Yes. Hello. Good evening. We are now live. Welcome to our work session for this evening. Our first item of business is an employee presentation. Mr. Granum, would you?
Madam Mayor, would you join me, please?
I will, yes.
And City Reporter Tracy Perry, please, if you would join up here. If you go right up there, Tracy. From the state of Tennessee, to all who shall see these presents, greetings. Know ye that whereas the Secretary of the State of Tennessee certified Tracy Perry, State of Tennessee Municipal Clerk and Recorder. Now therefore, I, Trey Hargett, Secretary of the State of Tennessee, do hereby certify that said Tracy Perry, a municipal clerk and recorder, has completed all requirements in the state of Tennessee. In witness thereof, I, Trey Hargett, Secretary of State, hereto affixed my hand and the great seal of the state of Tennessee in Nashville on Friday, May 2, 2025. Signed, Trey Hargett, Secretary of State.
Congratulations.
Got it. Oh, wait, hang on. Oh. I'm sorry. We need to pay the photographer. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you.
Congratulations. All right, thank you very much. And in her role as city recorder, Ms. Perry will be introducing our next item of business, approve the updated comprehensive travel policy, resolution number 25-1800.
Basically, all I did is, it was still, it had some information baked in it from when it was first approved, I think in 2013.
Okay.
And it wasn't good anymore, like the standard rates for reimbursement. So I just took all of that out and said that we would follow the then current GSA, which is like what federal employees and state employees use. Stop using MapQuest, don't use that anymore. Like, so just things like that, just brought into this century. Excellent.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Ms. Perry about the travel policy? Nope. All right, we'll move right along to item number 3, authorize an application to the Tennessee Arts Commission for the Arts Build Communities Grant in the amount of $5,000 with a no match commitment if awarded. Resolution number 25-1797. Director Johnson. Good afternoon.
This is just continuing the Public Arts Initiative to find funding resources out there on the open market that align with what some of their goals and their objectives. This particular grant application will support what we have called Phase 2 of the utility box wrapping project for public art and public spaces. This Phase 2 will incorporate some ongoing initiatives with the schools and with the art classes. So some of our members are teachers, they are art teachers, and so they are championing a project to take place this fall for their students so that they have a contest internally, and then those final award art submittals will be presented to the Public Art Board, and then we'll bring them to you for, hopefully, if this grant is awarded, for implementation of those reps on Phase 2 of our utility boxes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have some locations that have been designated?
No, I do not.
I think it had said something in the resolution
I think
about.
it does right off the bat, I can't think of them. I know there's at least 2 up on Morrison
Yeah,
Springs Road,
okay.
so which will actually take advantage of the school's location. So obviously
Perfect.
the students will be able to see that and have some bragging rights as they pull it. So,
That's wonderful.
yes, I do not have a theme. The Public Art Board is actually meeting tomorrow night to finalize what that theme will be
Okay.
to go into this grant application.
Okay, wonderful. Any other questions for Director Johnson?
I think I do have, is it middle school and high that will be utilized, or just high school?
I believe it's just high school.
Okay.
Hopefully to expand upon in the future. This is a first tiptoe into how do we establish a partnership, especially when we do with students. So we have some parameters we need to make sure that we respect in that arena.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you, Director Johnson.
Thank you.
And it is non-matching, making sure it is.
That's right, non-matching, non-matching, $5,000 to us for art. Okay, hopefully we'll, be awarded that grant. Item number 4, appointment to the Planning Commission, agenda item number 25-885. Director Johnson.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, from time to time, we do have members who are very active, in particular with the Planning Commission, who for most of the time it's professional reasons. If their work tends to take them out of commission to be able to participate. This particular member did voice their regret to have to step down, but understand the work that the Planning Commission does is critical to land development here in Red Bank. So this particular appointee happened to be Commissioner Hayes Wilkinson's appointee, so he does have a replacement in mind that I'm going to turn the floor to him and let him do some bragging on this particular new Planning Commission.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So I'm actually texting with Blake right now. I thought we were going to start the meeting. So yeah, my planning commission appointee will be Blake Pierce. A lot of us know him and call him a friend. He is the founder and president of the White Oak Bicycle Co-op. Hugely involved here in Red Bank. He's lived here for a long time. He was/is a professor of exercise science and public health. And prior to that, he was an exercise physiologist at Children's Hospital of Erlanger, working with childhood obesity. So I think given his kind of background and involvement here in Red Bank, I think he's eminently qualified, and we're lucky that he has been willing to step up to the role. So thank you, Blake.
I would agree to that, especially with our initiatives to revise our land use regulations this coming year. Having a variety of not just Red Bank citizens, but business owners who can help us make sure that we're keeping that economic development lens open as we look at our land use changes.
Absolutely. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Blake.
Mr. Pierce. All right. Thank you, Director Johnson. Moving on to item number 5, presentation of budget workshop certificates. Mr. Branham.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Commissioners. So for those who are here, is Kay here? No, not Kay. We have 5 to present. We have Clifford McCabe. Mr. McCabe, if you would please join me up front here for a minute. I'll read these. Clifford, you are a total joy to be with. It's not a public meeting without the public, and we can count on you being here, and it's really, truly appreciated. The City of Red Bank is pleased to present the FY26 Budget Workshop Certificate to Mr. McCabe in recognition of his attendance at 2 budget workshops held on the 22nd and 29th of April. This certificate recognizes a commitment of time to learn about all aspects of our municipal service delivery, hear directly from each department director, and understand the resources and budget necessary to fund our city. This level of interest in the budget process is highly laudable and profoundly appreciated. Presented this first day of May, actually it should be the 20th day of May, signed by Stephanie Dalton, Mayor, and Martin Graham, City Manager. Clifford, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. McCabe.
You won't wear that. 24 years in the Air Force, they told me how to do this, so let me shake your hand. Did you get my alarm? Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you, Clifford. Chad Bullard is also a recipient, and he sent me a very nice email earlier this morning. He is traveling. We also have in the audience Mr. Davis Getron. So Davis is very special to us as well, and in many ways. First of all, he's a neighbor of mine, and so, as a smiling face in the community, a resident. But he's also an employee of the City of Red Bank, and Davis does a fantastic job of balancing his responsibilities as an employee and his passion as a citizen. And I salute you for that, Davis. You just do an amazing job. So I won't read it again. It says the exact same thing, only it says Davis Getron.
Picture.
Yes,
Sure.
absolutely. 30 to remember.
Congratulations.
And lastly, we have Abby Schwartz, but we'll see her when she's here. We won't send that home at anybody. So we have couple for next time. Thank you, Mayor.
Am I correct too in recalling that both of you received the budget certificate last year? Amazing, incredible, 2 in a row.
And
Congratulations. And Kay.
Well, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you all for being so engaged. All right, moving along to item number 6, authorize a capital outlay note in the amount of $100,000, resolution number 25-1799. Ms. Pickle.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So, this is actually a redo on the $373,500 that was authorized in last year's budget and this current year's budget, FY '25, for the bond issuance, or note issuance, I should say, for purchasing police cars.
Mhm.
So in an effort to reduce the effect on the debt service for the police department in the coming years, we decided to reduce that amount to $100,000. So that's what this is. So it looks familiar, and it is familiar, but now we're pushing forward with it, and we expect to get the money, if you approve it, before the end of this fiscal year, FY '25.
Okay,
So that's what that is.
wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Pickle. I
Any
see that
questions about that?
the term of the loan is 5 years.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. And you're still here because the next item belongs to you. Our item number 7, monthly financial update.
Good evening again.
Hello.
For me. So this is the normal financial update. This is for April of the month that just ended. And we're looking really good. So the first page is revenues, the general fund revenue. We're at 90% of the revenues that we expected to collect for the year, which is just slightly above the 83.33% of the year. So that should be good. We may come in a little bit over on the revenues, but we might hit it right on the head as well. The general fund expenditures they're actually spot on. So they're at 83%, and we're at 83.33% of the year. So that's actually perfect. The other funds are operating as expected. Some of them are over in the revenues, and some of them are over slightly in the expenditures. We still have a couple budget amendments to come for this year, and then that should take that back down under 100%.
Okay.
So everything is going swimmingly there as far as that is concerned, which is very good since we have the budget.
All right.
Is there any questions about that?
The financial update? Nope. All right. Then we will move right into item number 8, discuss the public hearing and first reading of the fiscal year 26 budget. Ordinance number 25-1281, Mr. Granum and Ms. Pickle.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Commissioners. So CFO Pickle and I are going to jointly present this. And these are a load of materials, so we have a second here, we're kind of get organized. Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. We are here to present to you the FY '26 proposed budget for the city of Red Bank, Tennessee. I am City Manager Martin Granum.
And I'm Chief Financial Officer Chris Pickle. So this is a little about the agenda for tonight's presentation. We'll go over the FY '26 budget packet and where to find all of that information on our website. We'll review the budget dates for FY '26. It is a reappraisal year, exclamation point. We'll go over the budget adoption process and what that looks like. We'll look at the mission, vision, goals of the city. We'll highlight changes in this proposed budget from earlier versions of the budget estimate that we've seen earlier. Significant budget features for FY '26, so we'll point those out and have some overview of that. Where we're keeping an eye on future budgets, so we'll have a little bit to say about that and what we're doing to keep our eyes on that, and then we'll wrap it up.
So all of our information is available online on the city's website, and the staff has made a major commitment to that process this year, and we're quite satisfied with the access to quality information that we've made available throughout this budget cycle. So how do you get there? You can navigate through our departments and then the administrative and finance department, and then the finance tab. Under the heading FY26 budget development, you will find a variety of documents, 16 separate items that provide quality, useful budget information for anyone and everyone interested. Or you can just hit the budget button on the front page of the City of Red Bank, which is in and of itself a major accomplishment. So kudos to Tracy and Summer and Stacy and a lot of other people who have made that direct access to hot button items, and particularly the budget in the budget season. So here are the major components of the budget packet that you will find when you go to that webpage. There is a guide to the budget, and it's a 4-page, similar to what we had last year. There is the budget spreadsheet itself, which is all numbers, and it is 32 pages in total this year. And those are really companion documents. The numbers don't make sense without the guide to navigate through it. We also have my city manager's budget memo and a budget memo from all 6 department directors. 7 documents in total, 21 pages. That's where you can hear directly from each director, chief, and clerk. And I highly commend those department memos for real insight into what we're actually doing. The text behind the numbers lives in those department director memos. We have 18 pages of Q&A. That's where we define a lot of terms that really don't belong anywhere else, such as what is an employer of choice. We define that in that Q&A document. We have 2 special exhibits that really need to be called out for full transparency. The first exhibit is jobs by grade, and it is a 1-page document that covers every city employee's wages. And the second document is any proposed use of debt, and that is a 1-page document as well. And we'll go into more detail on that. So all that information is there for the community's review, and we're very proud to have that so available.
These are the budget dates for FY26. These were actually outlined in the budget memo that was presented on April 15th, and that's actually the first date here. April 22nd and April 29th were our budget workshops number 1 and 2. And as you saw earlier, we handed out the certificates for the participation in that. May 6th was the last work session that we had, and we had the open discussion of the budget at that time. And then we come to today, and that's May 20th, the regular commission work session meeting, and today is the first reading of the proposed budget. The next one, the second reading of the proposed budget, will be on June 3rd, Tuesday, June 3rd.
As Chris said, it's a reappraisal year, exclamation point. So we want to go into some great detail because it is very complex and hard to discern what the appropriate way to navigate that is. So we did our best on this page. It's a little wordy, but it's worth revisiting. Typically, a key component of each year's budget ordinance is the commission establishing the tax rate for that year. However, this is a reappraisal year in Hamilton County. It's every 4th year. In accordance with statute, the tax assessor of property is currently finalizing the reappraisal process by completing about 500 appeals. Then he will prepare a submission to the comptroller. At this interim step in the process, the median appraisal change for all residential and commercial properties in Red Bank, 5,253 parcels in all, is 59.05% increase. And I laid that document on the dais. There's a median numbers for commercial and residential, and then there's average numbers for commercial and residential. And we're not going to spend a whole lot, we're not going to talk about tax rate at all. But while we do mention this median number, what I should highlight, and we'll talk about this more next time, is the median is 59 0.05%. That means half of the city, their increase was more than that. And half of the city, their increase was less than that. So the 59.09% doesn't apply to everybody. In fact, it probably only applies to a handful. Everybody else, their unique parcel has their own percent increase. But the 59.09% is useful to us as a jurisdiction. That is the number that we use. The comptroller then completes the process by incorporating data from the Office of State Assessed Properties, OSAP. And if you're a real wonk, that's a thing that people talk about. So what does OSAP review? They review railroads, utilities, and cell phone towers at the state level. So the Hamilton County Assessor of Property only reviews commercial and residential within the county. Then he remits that data to the state. The state comptroller then incorporates this Office of State Assessed Properties, and only then will a true total percent change in residential in Red Bank jurisdiction be known. So we're waiting for that process to play out. Then the comptroller can notify us of our revenue neutral certified tax rate, often called the CTR. We anticipate notification of Red Bank CTR sometime in the coming months. In the meantime, we must await notification of the CTR before the commission can formally adopt a new tax rate. And there's language in our budget that will explain that, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. For the purposes of submitting the budget to the comptroller, their guidance is to remain silent on the tax rate itself. But we are required to state our intentions regarding either increasing property tax revenue, i.e. a tax increase, or not increasing property tax revenue, i.e. remain revenue neutral.
So a review of the FY26 budget adoption process, and this is not exclusive to the FY26, this is the adoption process for a budget for a municipality. Receipt of the Tennessee Comptroller's memo each year formally kicks off the budget process, and that we received that on February 10th of this year. The staff attended the Chattanooga Area Chamber of Commerce annual Economic Outlook Breakfast, featuring insights from David Elty, the Executive VP of the Federal Reserve of Atlanta, and Dr. Howard Wall, the Chief Economist at UTC. Budget preparation began in earnest conversations with department directors in March. Budget dates for FY26 were published on April 15th of this year. We had the 2 budget workshops that we talked about earlier. We had, I'm not sure if it was 5 or 6 citizens that attended both workshops and received those certificates. The city charter requires the city manager to present the budget estimate to the commission no later than 15 May each year. Now, we did that this year on 22. The budget process also sets the property tax rate. However, as we just talked about, the Tennessee statute, this being a reappraisal year with the timing, independent of the budget process, a separate ordinance will be necessary to establish the property tax rate once the certified tax rate is received, and that's typically mid to late September. In Red Bank, any ordinance requires 2 readings. So the first reading of the budget ordinance is tonight, and the second reading will be on June 3rd, so it's 2 weeks. Enactment occurs upon the passing of the second reading, comes the adopted budget and takes effect on July 1st of 2025 and continues through June 30th of 2026. The CFO must file the budget in a very specific format with the comptroller within 15 days of adoption. As mentioned above, during a reappraisal year, the commission will adopt a property tax rate separately after receipt of the certified tax rate. This historically has taken place in August or September of a reappraisal year.
It's always good to remind ourselves, and especially in budget season, of our mission, vision, and goals. Mission, coming from the 4th Annual Commission Strategic Planning Retreat held on the 25th of February and codified by resolution, is as follows. The city of Red Bank is a safe and thriving small town community with an engaging, transparent government that builds on our rich history, provides excellent and efficient services, and welcomes all.
So the vision, which is also from the 4th Annual Commission Strategic Planning Retreat, the vision, which it builds upon the mission and takes it to the next level. So it's a desired future state. Red Bank strives for a vibrant, growing, and inclusive community by pursuing excellence, enhancing safety, celebrating our neighborhood character, and stewarding our natural landscapes.
Also coming from the commission retreat was 5 goals, and that has historically been the case. The first 4 retreats have all left staff with 5 specific goals, and this year they are as follows. Develop a new land conversion agreement with TDEC and NPS, that's Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation and the National Park Service, and that champion is Mayor Stephanie Dalton. Create priorities for safe streets, curtailing speeding, enhancing pedestrian walkability, and protected cycling routes. And that champion is Commissioner Jamie Fairbanks Harvey. Launch strategic economic development efforts to attract investment, support local businesses, and strengthen community prosperity. Champion, Commissioner Terry Holmes. Implementation of the Parks Master Plan. Champion, Commissioner Hayes Wilkinson. Low-cost activation of city property by making improvements, i.e. tables, gardens, etc. Champion, Vice Mayor Holly Berry.
So these are the changes that are reflected in the FY26 proposed budget, which varies from the earlier budget estimates, which was dated April 22nd of this year. So the current budget estimate is dated 5/20, so that is today. You'll see that is in the budget packet that is attached to tonight's agenda. Personnel expenses increased to reflect a COLA of 2%. Under the direction of the Department of Administration and Finance, Tracy and myself, the departments absorbed the change in their budgets. Total expenditure did not grow. It slightly decreased actually from 422. We increased the property tax revenue by 5%, and you'll see that on page 2 of the budget where we have the revenues, and specifically the line for account 31100. It increased from $5,250,000 to $5,512,500. And this will require a 5% property tax increase when the tax rate is established later this year after we receive the CTR.
Significant features baked into the FY26 budget, and we broke them down into 4 categories: staffing, services, borrowing, and excellence. First up, staffing. We are making modest and targeted staff investments in 4 specific instances to build staff capacity where it is most needed. Specifically, as planned with the expiration of the Violent Crime Incentive Fund, or the VCIF grant, in the current year, FY25, the proposed budget funds and makes permanent this detective position, our 26th sworn officer, at a cost of approximately $75,000. We are reclassifying 2 existing administrative staff to the appropriate classification: office manager in community development and executive office manager in the police department. This budget converts the part-time Parks and Recreation program assistant position full-time at a cost of approximately $18,500. And as a reminder, all staff pay is visible in the budget packet and on the webpage. The document is titled FY26 Proposed Jobs by Grade.
The next significant feature that we want to point out is services. So the first one is tax relief. So the city is proposing that we 100% match the county's portion of tax relief for approximately 138 Red Bank residents currently in a tax relief program. $11,290.80 for qualified taxpayers over 65, and that's approximately 116. $14,427.84 for all 100% disabled veterans, and that's approximately 22. Altogether, the total budget estimate for Red Bank's tax relief match is approximately $25,718.64. And it is not an expense, so you won't see a separate expense line, but it's a foregone revenue. This tax relief program is strongly endorsed by the Hamilton County Trustee and is universally viewed as a very effective means to help qualified Red Bank residents stay in their home that would otherwise struggle to make property tax payments and are at risk of losing their home. The Caravan, through CARTA, sustains CARTA paratransit services in FY26 by budgeting $30,000 to reflect the actual post-5310 grant per trip subsidy required of the city. Budgeted amounts are up $14,400 from last year's budgeted amount of $15,600, which was capped exposure mutually agreed upon with CARDA. You may recall Paratransit and Red Bank serves qualified residents who are the most often using the service for medical appointments, which is frequently dialysis. Data driven. Budget's $15,000 for an on-call data analyst services. The city will develop a data strategy to enhance our data maturity by recognizing and utilizing available metadata to provide insights and make informed decisions. Identify data sources, provide analyses, and discern takeaways such as needs and trends, and ultimately create data visualization to promote understanding and informed decision-making. Initial uses will be for analysis of property tax rates, build a capital improvement plan, and more accurately project revenue growth as the city develops, and more use cases. And the next one is borrowing. Included in this budget estimate is the use of debt by the Public Works Department for the following 3 applications allocated across the appropriate 3 funds. $230,000 in the general fund loan for a pickup and tractor in the streets division, $110,000 for 2 pickups in the solid waste division, and $900,000 for a dump truck with a salt spreader and snow plow attachments, as well as a significant road paving effort on our secondary streets in State Street 8.
Excellence throughout the budget, beginning with a COLA of 2% to keep pace with inflation, continue to attract and retain top talent, and maintain our competitive position in the market as an employer of choice. Costs and expenses are well managed. An example is on page 6 of the budget spreadsheet, insurance. Insurance costs are down slightly from FY24, which is actually a remarkable achievement. Addresses all 5 commission goals, which for the 4th consecutive year largely fall to 2 departments, the Public Works Department and the Community Development Department. Specifics regarding our plans to achieve those 5 commission goals are detailed in the Public Works and Community Development's department budget memos. Sustains a level of service delivery excellence, all caps, I am screaming, across all municipal services delivered through all 6 departments: police, fire, court, administration and finance, public works, and community development. It's worth taking a look beyond this budget and keep an eye on future budgets. Some things that we should always keep in mind: provide quality, timely, and useful budget information to the community throughout this process. And I mentioned that earlier. We have upped our game with access to specific documents. So if anybody's interested in what is specifically, say, police are doing, they can go right to the chief's document and learn all about that. We should always be focused on commission goals, and this, for the 4th year in a row, we are. And we should always endeavor to remain an employer of choice year over year. This year, that was largely focused on COLA, but from time to time, it may require other budget and pay and benefit conversations. For future budgets, some things to keep in our mind: capital improvement plan. And I've listed here some categories of capital expense that are down the road, but we can see them from where we stand. Facilities, and in particular the Public Works facility. Parks, trails, and the pool. We have 2 areas where we're developing parks from bare dirt on the north end and in the middle of town. We have 2 trails in the works at Godsey Ridge and White Oak Connector Phase Next. We've all been briefed on the condition of our pool, which is built in 1962. So we can anticipate the need for capital money for those areas. Streets always requires ongoing capital investment, but particularly with the goals of multimodal functionality, which really re-envisions some of our streets. There's a capital bill to pay there. The former Red Bank Middle School site small area study, which will be coming formally to the commission when it makes its way through the planning commission, and more. So there's capital bills to pay down the road. We should also keep in mind constantly reviewing the staffing levels of the city, and from where we stand, there is still a need to be met in public works, particularly with respect to a stormwater supervisor. And there is a well-established case for 3 FTE in the fire department to provide a 5th full-time firefighter on each shift. In conversation, we have tentatively linked that to a certificate of occupancy on the planned 210-unit high-rise apartment complex. So maybe 2 years away would be when there's more of a demonstrated need for that ability to respond with 5 firefighters on duty at first alarm. And lastly, expanding the tax base by encouraging density and development, such as expanding the public sewer and updating our zoning and land use policies. Who's gonna make all that happen? Right here, this is the team. The departments are shown there and some of their key leaders. But I'd like to highlight 2 things. Down in the middle, on the bottom, is the city commission, and in an orbit around the city commission is our citizen appointed advisory committees. They are force multipliers, and they are doing amazing things on behalf of staff and the commission. The planning commission has a statutory responsibility. We have an appointment tonight to that very important commission. The Board of Zoning Appeals intermittently does very important work. The art committee, we've heard the work they're doing. The nonprofit committee, the call is out right now for the next round of micro grants. The Park Trails and Recs is hitting it out of the park. I think there's a food truck ride this Friday. Cemetery Advisory Committee, we just had the Decoration Day, and it's such a feel-good thing what's happening there, and the Jubilee and Festival Committee. Those groups collectively are hitting it out of the park. Also down on the lower left, these are individuals, businesses, nonprofits, and agencies that are key partners with the city of Red Bank. And the city of Red Bank staff directly is highly leveraged by these other entities listed on the left that bring a lot of competency and capability that there's no way a small city like Red Bank could have directly on the staff. And we rely on those key partners extensively.
So to wrap it up, some ways to stay informed and stay connected with the city and the staff. We're on Facebook at the City of Red Bank TN, on Instagram, City of Red Bank, and our webpage, of course, at redbanktn.gov. And you can also subscribe to our monthly newsletter on the website. You can attend a commission meeting, which are the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays of every month, except for January and July. So thank you for your time tonight.
We'd be glad to answer any questions.
Excellent. Thank you both for a most wonderful presentation. What questions do we have?
I have a couple of questions. I appreciate Commissioner Holmes' comment 2 weeks ago about balancing where you take to give. And thank you, all the departments, for doing that. That worked well. So then the COLA is 2%. I appreciate that. I do have a concern about the 5% baked in tax raise because it's baked in based on inflation. So I was told. And the current inflation rate is 2.3%. And I recognize that perhaps there would be a steady increase to let the residents know a tax increase is periodic and that it's not overwhelming, but get ready and make adjustments. I'm okay with that. And then we've had meetings built up to this, and now all of a sudden there's a 5% add to it. I'd go for 3. I'd go for 2.3, 2.5. 5 bothers me to add that here at the end before we vote.
Thank you, Commissioner. I will just explain the basis of the 5. We haven't adjusted the tax rate for 2 years, so it is really, though you can have a long conversation about the different versions of inflation. And, when you go to listen to the chief economist and others, it breaks down into segments of the market, whether it's housing or wages or groceries or energy or transportation. There's just a zillion ways to slice and dice what really is inflation. And then it's regional and it's site specific. So for the last 2 years, staff have really done our very best to really distill that down to a number that we have applied to personnel, which is the biggest single aspect of our expense driver is our staff. So 2 years ago, I say 2 years ago, really, the previous fiscal year, we used 3% was the COLA we applied to all staff wages. And this year, in the current year, we applied 2% is what we're proposing in the budget. So that's how we get to 5. It's 3% from a year ago, 2% this year. So it's the cumulative inflation of 2 years is how we got to 5%. And so it's not based on any calculated desired increase in revenue dollars. It's just based on that is the inflation that we've encountered for the last 2 years. And that people can have a conversation about whether, the merits or demerits of something like that. That is the basis. Thank you, Commissioner.
If I could just add, you all just became aware of the median averages for the reappraisal last Tuesday. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
A week ago.
Right.
So we
Oh,
didn't
you
have
looked
that
at
information.
Right.
So we could speculate all day what we thought that was going to look like, but you knew last Tuesday, and then that's when this conversation started happening.
Yes, and
Correct.
I can also speak to my role and specifically to the question at hand. It was my decision to bake that into the proposed budget. My sense in conversations with commissioners was that there was a recognition that the use of fund balance for the second year was a big number. It was acceptable in a one-year lens, but there was a sense that we needed to look at the revenue side. And so in my role as city manager, I mulled over, do we just try to close the use of fund balance, which would be a very significant tax increase. The fund balance that was in the budget estimate was upwards of around $600,000. You divide that by $31,000, and that's the number of cents it would take in property tax increase to buy out that use of fund balance. That didn't seem prudent, and it didn't make any sense to anybody. Staff came around to looking at inflation as the basis for proposing a change in revenue. And that's where we settled on 5%, which is 3 plus 2, this year and the previous year of inflation. And
That's what it would take.
it would take almost 13 cents to buy out the fund balance as it was proposed. Thank you, Chris. And so it seemed like a reasonable, prudent middle ground to not, and furthermore, use of fund balance. I'm actually comfortable with where the use of fund balance is in the proposed budget. It is a big number, but it seems to me a number that we can approach with tax-based growth. We are hoping to see rather large developments come online. We are very conservative in our revenue estimates, so it's typically, we probably will over collect on some of those revenues, which has the ability to decrease the actual use of fund balance as opposed to the budgeted use of fund balance. And then lastly, it's tough to execute on that level. And so we typically under execute, that's my term for it, in parts of the budget. So if you put all those three together, growth in the tax base, over collection on some of the areas of revenue, and under execution of the budget, we start to get back down into a better place of almost zero use of fund balance. Certainly over time, that's where we will get to, because use of fund balance is not sustainable indefinitely. But for the next budget year, that's where we proposed it. That's what all the thoughts that were on my mind as I chatted with each of you individually and consulted with staff who've been making this journey with us.
Thank you. Just as a quick reminder before we stop for comments, the COLA last year, or the Social Security COLA last year was 3.2, and this year is 2.5, and we're going under. So 5% is not really even getting us, caught up from the past 2 years. It would need to be closer to 6%. So just wanted to put that out there to keep that in mind, that we're not accounting for that full amount all at once.
Indeed, in every year, the last 3 years, our COLA has been less than the Social Security increase. It was over 8.
Yeah.
3 years ago, we did 7.
it was 8.7.
8.7, and we did 7.0.
Mhm.
Then 2 years ago it was 3.2, and we did 3.0.
Mhm.
And then this year it's 2.5, and we're proposing 2.0. So, and that probably reflects a healthy regional reality that we are probably a tick under those national numbers. So I think we're in a prudent place, frankly, in slightly less than Social Security.
Thank you both very much. We can resume this conversation during our regular meeting.
Thank you, Mayor.
Um,
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you very much. We will go ahead and move, we'll table the remaining items and move to item number 12, citizen comments on items on the work session agenda. Mr. Granum.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the time for citizen comments. Please observe these rules. Comments are limited to 2 minutes here in work session or less, and the city recorder will operate a timer. Please respect her direction and conclude any comments if time expires. Comments should be addressed to the board as a whole and not to a particular commissioner, the city staff, or to the audience. The commission is here to listen, not to respond or engage in back and forth, so please do not expect a reply during citizen comment. This time, citizens are invited to the podium. Please begin by stating your name and address.
Hello, Josh Branham, Governmental Affairs Director for Greater Chattanooga Realtors. Address is 2963 M. Nicola Highway, right next to the soon-to-be open Weigel's gas station. So we're very excited about that in our office. Thank you for that budget presentation. I know that is very hard work, and I am not a math guy, so I admire people who can do that. I gave you all the, and also I sent the residential housing statistics for April just now, and said you would pass that along, sir, so thank you.
We appreciate that.
In my excitement of bringing you that new report, I left them sitting on my desk today. They don't do me very much good there. But that report I gave you all before we started today is a local economic impact report. Just a couple things I thought were very interesting was I bet you all probably know it because you go over reports like this every day, but the median age for Red Bank is 36.3. Very young population. And also nearly 70 to 75% of households here are renting. And so that's an opportunity that maybe look at land usage as far as a single family or mixed family developments that are there. But also wanted to let you all know that you all are familiar with the placemaking grant at our association. If you're not, our association offers a $25,000 placemaking grant to within our 5-county footprint, which Hampton County is one of those. And it's a project that's open to to public land, so the city has to own the land, but it also has to be accessible to most of the community all the time, so not fenced in a private area. I will say that something has changed. I know that you all have applied for this in the past. Something that has changed is that now it doesn't have to be its own standalone project. If you have an existing project but want to tack on something cool and neat, that is now a possibility as well. So I'm more than happy to answer questions for y'all about that. The application's open on January. Nope. The application's open June 1st and close on July 31st. But I will be in touch with you all about then. So thank you all very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Random. Any other citizen comments on items on the work session agenda? Okay. If not, we will move on to item 13. Any other business to discuss? Anybody have anything? Nope. Okay. All right. We will go ahead and adjourn this work session and return at 6 o'clock for our regular meeting. Thank you.
No, Lisa.
No, I just, if you have, I just